Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Giggle and Grow with Morgan.
And Courtney, we are so excited to be back today. We have a special guest and a special subject to talk about today. We have Ashni, who is going to talk about identity shift. But before we get into that fun topic, what I'd love for you to do is if you could tell us a little bit about yourself. And you were a D1 soccer player, you had a multicultural background, you have so much stuff to talk about, but let's just hear a little bit about you and where you want to kick us off today.
Sure. Hi, everyone. I'm Ashni, coming to you here from Florida. I am currently a physician assistant at a cancer center, but like Courtney was alluding to, I've had a little bit of an interesting past dabbling in some cool experiences here and there, which we'll get into. But for now, I am proud to be a physician assistant as well as an entrepreneur. I own my own business. I am a mindset coach for corporate women, helping them kind of navigate through the changes in life and simplify life so that they can take back control and kind of live in the present.
Love it.
That
Love
is
it.
so cool. What kind of got you into wanting to study PA and especially more so helping others kind of fight that battle with cancer?
Yeah. So my interest to go into medicine, I guess, started when I was back in college. I was able to get some good volunteer and service experience. Favorite that I like to talk about are some medical missions I participated in throughout my years. I was in Central America and the Caribbean, going on various trips to help people there with public health stuff as well as medicine. And that's when I knew, okay, I wanted to go into medicine. And then from there, as I started thinking about the different paths I could take, I kind of looked at how I wanted my 20s to go and how much I wanted to be in school versus working, how much debt I wanted to get into, and all this stuff, and landed on PA as the perfect career where schooling was short and it allowed me to change specialties whenever I wanted to, which was great because this is my third job since I graduated 4 years ago. So it's allowed me to bounce around a little bit. And I chose cancer because my mom has a history of breast cancer, and that's actually the department I ended up in. Is I'm treating women with breast cancer now. So it's allowing me to learn a lot about these women, what they're going through, and it allows me to be there for them. Like, I wasn't as much there for my mom because I was in high school. I was young. There was a lot going on. I just didn't really understand it all. She was my mom. She's strong. She could do it. She doesn't need me, that kind of thing. And so now at least it makes me feel good to help other women who are going through similar struggles.
Yeah. So, you had mentioned that your mom, she got diagnosed with breast cancer. How old were you when she got diagnosed? And love to hear a little bit about your upbringing and what that was like for you as a kid.
Yeah, my mom was diagnosed when I was in high school. At that time, I don't remember much because I was a high school student. I was in not the best relationship with someone who basically, like, I chose to spend more time with them than my family. And I was a full time soccer player. So that left a lot of like gray space in my head, which obviously now I'm a bit older. I would have done things more differently to be there for her. But she has done extremely well. She's super strong, and a lot of the qualities that I like about myself, I think, came from her. And that's some of the stuff she instilled within me from when I was a little kid. She is born and raised in India, in Bombay. And she moved to the United States all by herself when she was like 22. And so I can't even imagine what she went through being a vegetarian in India and having to come to the States and figure things out. She was going to school at that time and met my dad, who is Caucasian, or like I like to say, he's a white guy. So it was interesting growing up coming from two different cultures. My mom instilling in us a lot of the traditions and celebrations that she grew up participating in. and then living in the Midwest. I was born in Iowa, so living in Iowa and
I'm from Iowa. You go
and
Hawks.
and just being kind of like in a white community, we had our Indian friends there, but it was difficult for me because I never really felt like I fit in with our Indian friends. I don't look Indian to most people. Some Indians can spot me out, but to most people, no. But I didn't also fit in with the white folk either, just because of the snacks I would bring to school, or just my name in itself, or people would find out I'm Indian, and there's jokes as kids that you say, and so it was tough sometimes trying to fit into my surroundings.
Yeah.
Absolutely. How did you kind of manage, I mean, that cultural difference while, of course, your mom battling cancer, and then, of course, being that D1 athlete? How did you kind of balance that mindset that you needed to carry in order to build that strength into those future goals that you had for yourself?
Yeah, soccer was what did it for me. That was like my magical moment in life, was figuring out that if I could kick a ball well, I could make friends. So when we moved from Iowa to Wisconsin, I was in middle school, just before middle school, and it was difficult to make friends. But as soon as I was out during recess kicking the ball around, people would, come to me and ask me, like, who are you? Where are you coming from? And I made friends. And then moving down to Florida, down in the middle of 8th grade, literally winter break of 8th grade, the worst time you could possibly move is right at the end of middle school, to a new school with new people. And the people down here are different than the Midwest. And so it was very lonely until soccer tryouts came around. And then, I made the team and I had instant friends there. And so that carried on to my career playing in college, but it taught me that being an athlete, especially a soccer player, was a big part of my identity. And it allowed me to finally feel as a kid like I could fit in, or if things were stressful with my mom and her diagnosis or whatnot, I always had soccer to fall back on to kind of allow myself the escape to focus on my mind and my body and how it's moving on the field. And it provided a big stress relief. That's what balanced me out.
That's incredible. I think what's kind of interesting is I didn't have like the same experience as you had growing up, but I do think that for me, I had some, you know, high school girl drama, right? Some stuff we all deal with as a high school girl. And I think a big part of how I found my identity was sports. I mean, one of my biggest things that I went through as a kid was not making my volleyball team. And I remember it was very political. I'm from Kentucky. And so very political. I didn't make the team. My parents didn't put me in, travel volleyball from the time I was 12. And so for a long time, I had to find a different sport or some other type of identity so I could feel, safe almost. And so I guess my question for you is, if you have somebody listening right now, what would your advice be to who's listening who might be in that shift right now, or trying to find, their own identity? What would your suggestion be to someone who's listening?
I think it would be what I've told my PA students that I've precepted for years now, and that's to expose yourself to as many different experiences as you can. For them, it was applied to things in medicine, but I think it can be extrapolated to anybody's life. For anyone who feels like they just don't fit in somewhere, that's your time to start trying new things. Go join a new sports team, go to a pottery class, there's so many things out there that are terrifying to do at first. Going somewhere new by yourself is scary. That's coming from someone who does not like going grocery shopping alone. I still struggle with that. However, it's also coming from someone who's kind of been forced through life to go through these changes and find people. But as humans, we're always looking to fit in somewhere, and you don't have to just accept the fact that you feel like you don't fit in, or you feel like you're lost. Get out there, contact some people you used to know from school or from old work or family, friends, or whatever, and just open a conversation. There's no harm in that. But the cool thing is, once you do that, you never know what can happen. And all of a sudden you'll be meeting new people and you just may find your new circle.
I love that.
Absolutely. No, that's really, really cool. I may have shared it on here before, but I have heard that, of course, being in your 20s, it is a little bit harder to find those really strong friendships. And I have heard multiple times that just going to do those different things that you might like as a hobby, or maybe you don't even know you like it yet, just putting your foot in the door, you're going to also find some amazing people that have those same dreams or wants or ideas as you, and you might just click it off with someone. You just never know. So I love that. But also, Ashni, I'm very interested because I actually was someone back in college that wanted to become a PA. I wanted to help actually children with cancer myself. That was my lifelong mission. So because I didn't pursue that, I actually went the psychology route. I struggled with even Gen Chem my freshman year of college. I just wonder how you also, I mean, we talked about how you balanced all those things kind of in high school and leading through college, but then how did you manage that in college while, of course, building that social life? You were also a D1 athlete and going full-time school. How did that look for you?
For me, I think I recognized one of my greatest strengths, which is organization and stubbornness, resilience.
Yeah.
I would say because in high school, I mean, I had to juggle being in school and going to soccer practice a few times a week, traveling on weekends for games pretty much year round. And so actually to me, going to college felt like I had more time than I did in high school. And so I kind of just set myself up with a good schedule. I'm very organized in my brain. I put it down on paper. So I actually would go through the syllabus for each class and write down every assignment, when it's due, when I'm starting what paper, blah, blah, blah. And I'm pretty confident to say that at least for my first year when I was super rigid, I was able to complete all classwork and go to class, practice, etc. by like 6:30 p.m., usually by dinner time. And then I took the rest of the night off. I watched Netflix. I talked to my boyfriend, like whatever. So for me, time management actually got a little bit easier going to college. But I also, on the flip side, I think it's because I was restricting myself from really exploring myself. And I was keeping myself in a box and not allowing myself to take chances with people to form friendships. I'm not really the party type, was never the party type, but I didn't even give myself like the option to try it, which now I'm almost 30. I'm like, okay, girl, that would be something different. But I think that while it worked for me in an academic sense, I think from a social sense, I lost a lot of what most people call the best 4 years of their life. For me, it actually wasn't. It was just a productive 4 years of my life. It got me through. And then I got into PA school, and that's actually where I had the most fun.
Really?
I don't know if I answered your question.
No, you definitely did. I mean, and I'm someone too that I very much thrive off productivity, and if I don't know how to rest very well because of that. So I mean, how have you found maybe within your last 4 years to kind of split your days up between productivity, but also finding that mindfulness, that time for yourself?
Well, I would say that I haven't really learned balance until about 6 to 8 months ago, to be honest.
Yeah.
I've always measured success by how much I could cram on my plate, whether that was career responsibilities, family responsibilities, friend responsibilities. I thought that I was living my best life if my schedule was full. And so up until 6 or 8 months ago, I would say yes without a second thought and worry about the rest later. But then the time would come and I'd be like, oh my God, I have to get dressed. I'm so tired. I don't want to go. And rinse and repeat. And what I've found is that that's actually not the key to happiness. That's not the key to being successful for most people. I've found that actually simplifying life and getting things off your schedule allows you to be present fully in the moment, and you do yourself a big service as well as the people you're around. You're not checking your phone every 5 minutes or your email. You're able to kind of shut everything out and just live. And that's what I think is happiness. Because when you choose how you want to live and what you're doing, you are happy. It's the chasing things. It's the chasing what's next. What do I need to do next to get to this big goal? It's the overwhelm of saying yes to too many people that then puts you down this slope of wanting more instead of just being happy where you're at. And so it took me a long time to realize that balance in both my professional life and my personal life. And it wasn't until recently, actually, when I made the decision to switch from doing surgery at a level 1 trauma center to now being in a clinic during the week at a cancer center where I made that decision to improve this work-life balance so that I'm able to have energy outside of work to do and be who I want to be and things I want to do.
I love that. And it sounds like this might be a little bit about how you talk to your clients or the women that you work with, is really just teaching them how to prioritize themselves. And actually, before you got on, Morgan and I were talking that I'm planning a wedding and I'm a manager on a sales team. And I think we had talked to you about you have a wedding and I have all of these things. And I was just telling her how I am working on so much external that I need to refocus and start working on things for in here. So I'd love to ask you a tip for myself and anybody who wants to take it away for planning a wedding. Like, what do you suggest I do when I'm just so overwhelmed? Because I look at all the numbers and I look at, everything I have to do and everything I've already done. And sometimes I get so overwhelmed, I literally don't know how to communicate it. What do you suggest I do in those moments?
2 things. One is like the rapid relief, write everything down. And so what I would recommend you doing is writing down literally everything you need to do. On my list, like I put brushing my teeth, showering, like literally everything you need to do either for the day or your weekend plans, whatever that is. And see if you can separate those into like self situation, career, wedding planning, family and social life. Just start pulling them apart so it's easier to process, easier to digest. And then you can go to prioritizing them and say, okay, well, I have 1 day, 2 days, 1 week to get, X amount of stuff done. What is going to take place as the most important part to get this done? Be very mindful of not overcommitting, because it's very easy to say, oh, well, I have Saturday and Sunday all day. I'm going to finish all this. No. You got to build in self-care time. So there needs to be a little bit of time in there, right? You can't just put all productive things on this list. There has to be other things that you're looking forward to or that actively relax you. That's one.
I'm starting to learn that. I was going to say, I'm starting to learn to put in, because I just have these expectations of, oh no, I can do this, that, and this, and I can get all of that done on Saturday. I don't even have to breathe.
Literally.
The problem is with high achieving women is that we say, oh, well, just this weekend, I'm going to grind it out and I'm going to hustle. Oh, just tomorrow, I'm going to put in more effort so I can get this done. What we don't realize is that we are always going to be like that, which is why I particularly coach my clients that we got to remove things and simplify things. And that's what's going to make you feel more fulfilled, more successful, more productive. Because now the time that you are spending on these particular tasks, your mind is able to focus on it 100%. The quality will be better. The thought processes will be better instead of trying to do 100 things in one day. The second thing about wedding planning, and because we're going through this process as well, is carve out some time to really think about what you want your wedding to be like. There's a lot of external pressure. Some is welcomed, some input from family or whatnot, but a lot of it is negative pressure on how much you should spend, what it should look like, a lot of things like this. And so my fiance and I have spent some time. Once we were going down one path, we said, hold on, is this really what we want? And we actually backtracked and named a few important things. We asked ourselves, what do we want out of our wedding? And each of us named one or two things that we basically wanted the purpose of the wedding to be for, right? Because some people say, well, the wedding is just for your family or for the guests. It's not really for you, and there's these things that you hear. So we just took a moment to have a little kumbaya session to be like, okay, what exactly do we want this wedding to represent? And then it allowed us to kind of cut out the bullshit, if I'm allowed to say that on here, and really cut to the chase and make decisions based on that. It's also a very slow process. So once we accomplish that, we haven't made much progress, but progress is progress.
Progress is progress. I love that. And I love hearing about everything that you tell the women that are your clients and the women that you work with. Just for our listeners' sake, I'd love if you could walk us through a little bit about your program, what that looks like, and who are the women that you work with. So that can be starting from just the women that you work with to what their first day looks like on your program, or however you want to say it. But I'd love to just hear about what that process looks like.
Yeah. So I have two ways I work with clients currently. One way is my one-on-one program. So this is a longer time investment. I work with these women for 6 months. This is allow for time to simplify life, right? This is not a quick fix. We're changing mindset. We're changing entire lifestyles. So it's a 6-month program. And each step is basically focused on how to simplify things and live more in the moment. And then as we get towards the end of the program, we start to add habits in to help them work towards their goals. But it's all based on first removing the excess noise in your head and around your life. And then little by little, we start to implement the good things in that make these women happy. Or let's say they have a big goal. I help them break it down into literally very small actionable steps. And we take it slow. That way it's a sustainable, permanent change. Wow. So that's one side. The other way I work with women currently is through a group program. And this call actually falls during perfect timing because I have partnered up with a functional medicine practitioner, and we're teaming up to do a functional medicine mindset group program for women who feel like they're tired all the time. They don't have energy. They have tummy problems. They have other issues with their gut. And they are just ready to start feeling better, but don't have the time to do it. So our program is based on the best of both worlds. I'm coming in, teaching them how to simplify their life. We're cleaning the slate, getting them to focus on their health again. And then Chelsea, my colleague, is coming in to teach them very basic tips and tricks to take baby steps forward towards their health. And so I'm really excited about both modalities. And I think we can help a lot of women this way.
Oh, I love that.
That is so cool. I'm definitely that girl with the tummy issues and the tiredness all the time. I know, I read this book and it's called like The Mind Gut Connection. Have you ever heard? I can't think of the author, actually. I think I have it right here. It's Emran Mayer. Have you heard of that book by chance?
I have not. I'm sure my colleagues do all the gut stuff.
I was like, I'll show it here, but it's this book, and it's actually been the only thing that's really helped me kind of understand like the two connections there and just how our bodies as women work. And I definitely would love to have like a coach that could actually kind of break these simple things down, because in the long run, it's really not that hard. It's just those little things that we do daily, though, that really do add up and make a big difference. And I kind of, since we're talking kind of more on your business now, I do have a question in terms of just like, what does that elevated transformation mean to you specifically? Because we talked a lot about how you are applying that to your clients, but what does that mean to you?
It's a perfect phrase that has represented what I've been through so far and also where I see myself going. I think you can have, I came up with this little quote, I guess, and it's basically like, I believe you can have multiple dream lives in one lifetime. And I feel like up until this point, I've lived multiple dream lives. I was a D1 soccer player. I went on these medical missions. I'm a PA. Now I get to be a business owner and I have big goals going forward. And so I feel like at any point in your life, no matter where you are, you have the choice to make a change. You have a choice to elevate yourself in whatever capacity at whatever scale you want. And so I chose that name as kind of like a way to inspire others that it doesn't matter what stage of life you're in or what you're going through. The moment you decide to be better or elevate yourself, you can do it.
Wow. That's awesome.
I love that.
I was going to say kind of our motto is just being able to constantly grow and believe in yourself. And I think that having a guests on here that talk about these things, you honestly align with us probably the most out of all the guests we've ever had on here. And I just love your message. And I think that everything that you've said to us today has just been resonated with me personally. And I love the tips. As far as our listeners go, I always like to ask if you could go back and wind back and talk to yourself before everything started, not D1 player, but before you started your business and you made all these changes, what would be the one thing that you would say to yourself that you think you know now that you didn't know then that would maybe help you?
Not stuck. You're never stuck. You're never in a box. You have the ability to change whenever you want to change, but you have to believe in yourself first. And the answers to what you're looking for are actually a lot closer than you think.
I love that.
I don't know if you leave it at that or go into it more, but essentially my entire transformation in these last 12 months basically stemmed from one, me believing that I wasn't stuck, and two, literally scrolling through my phone and social media, asking myself, who do I know? And how can this person educate me, connect me, or grow me in some way? And I ended up reaching out to a lot of people. I interviewed with Thermo Fisher. I was really exploring like these opportunities to get me towards my life goals that I have. And I met some cool people along the way. I started kickboxing, which is now my favorite thing to do twice a week. And that's because one day I decided I was going to show up by myself to a gym based on a recommendation from an acquaintance. And here we are. Now I'm teaching other people the basics. So it's that you're not stuck and you have the power to change. But everything you want in life needs to come from within and just believing in yourself that you can do it.
Oh, I love it.
You are truly inspiring, and I've absolutely loved nothing more than this conversation today. I feel like you definitely have touched us. You're going to teach or touch a lot of our listeners. You're going to touch the many more others that you're going to come across in your own life. So we really appreciate you sharing your whole story there. And Courtney, I don't know if you want to kind of wrap it up here or it's kind of say your last words, but I thank you, and I'm so grateful to officially meet you, and I hope we can stay in touch. So
thank you.
Yes, yeah, Ashni, sure. I appreciate you so much. We love that you got to make the time to come on. We're super honored, and thank you so much. And if you want to say at the end of it your Instagram handle, your YouTube, any website, go ahead. Now's your time to shout yourself out.
For right now, just follow me along at Ashni Deschenes. My name is difficult. It'll be here somewhere for you all. Just want to share with everybody kind of my story, my experiences, and how I help other women transform their lives. My DMs are always open. I love talking about this shit. So please say hello. Let's find something in common and just see what happens. And thank you guys so much for having me on. This was truly so much fun, and I hope we get to stay in touch. This was awesome. I appreciate it.